What's going on, guys? It's Brandon back here today to finish the predictions for the divisions of the NHL. Today I'm going to be doing the Central Division. I've got my Hawks jersey on, as this is their division. And let's go through this, as I think this was the second most difficult division to do. Metropolitan was definitely the hardest, followed by the Central, the Pacific, and then the Atlantic. So starting off, I'm pretty sure without question, number 8 in everybody's mind will be the Arizona Coyotes. They've moved over to the Central Division as Seattle takes the spot in the Pacific. They've made clear tanking moves and they're going for Shane Wright. They acquired Louis Eriksson, Antoine Roussel, Andrew Ladd, other very bad contracts. And they're still probably going to move Phil Kessel at some point, and then they still have Nick Schmaltz and Clayton Keller, along with Jacob Chikrin, but we'll see what happens with that. They traded away Ekman Larson, they traded away Connor Garland, they moved their better pieces out, and now they're in full rebuild mode, full tank mode, as they want that number 1 pick. So that, without question, is number 8. Number 7, I'm going to say Nashville. They've made regressing moves. Pecorine retired, but he hasn't been good since. Saros is what can keep them in the playoff hunt if they do well. Duchesne and Johansson contracts are not good. There's not really much else to say. They traded Ryan Ellis to Philadelphia. They traded Victor Arvidsson to... I'm trying to remember where it was now. Might have been Philadelphia. I think about it. No, that was Atkinson. Arvidsson went to I don't remember. It might have been also Philadelphia, but I can't. Oh, L.A. That's where he went for the second and third round pick. He went to L.A. And so they got rid of some of their goal scoring, some of their better defensemen. So I don't think this team's going to be I think this team's going to be bad. I think the Central Division is going to be tightly compacted. But compared to the rest of the Central Division, I think that there's a little chance for Nashville making the playoffs as of right now. And in 6th place, I could also have put in 7th. I could also have put in 5th, 4th, 3rd, probably all the way up to 2nd. But since Kaprizov is not signed, as of the time I'm recording this, it's going to have to be the Minnesota Wild. And this whole team lies on Kaprizov. This team has Fiala, they have Victor Rask, they have Kokkonen and Talbot in goal. They got Spurgeon on defense, Dumba on defense. They lost Susie to Seattle. They have a bunch of good players that could be on a perfect for a team with Kaprizov on it. Kaprizov made this team light up. It gave them a revival that they didn't have. I don't think we had ever seen since the 2003 playoffs when they went on that conference final run and lost to Anaheim in a sweep in the conference final. But if there's a team that's going to win the Stanley Cup for Minnesota, I would say Kaprizov would have to sign in Minnesota, and they would have to do it then. Because without Kaprizov, I don't see a way this team is making the playoffs. So, yeah, that's all I have to say on Minnesota. Number 5. This is where it gets tricky. But I think I'm going to go with the St. Louis Blues. So I also debated putting them in 6th or 7th. But since Kaprizov was still not signed, that's the reason I waited for Central Division to be last. Not only was it my division, but I was seeing if Kaprizov would get signed. So that's why I pushed it all the way back. And now that we're 1 week from the start of preseason, I just had to get it done. So there's no more waiting. Anyway, St. Louis, they've re-signed Tyler Bozak. They've got Bennington still if he can play as he did in 2019. They've got David Perron in a contract year, so I'm not sure how that's going to go. Jordan Kyrou should be better. They acquired Pavel Buchnevich from the Rangers, so that should give them a boost in goal scoring. But this team, I think, can make the playoffs. And I do have them in the playoffs because I have only 3 in the Pacific, so 5. That would be the line between playoffs and non-playoffs. I'll mark the X's and the Z at the end of this video. Yes, Z. I'm pretty sure I only put Vegas as a Y. But if I didn't, that's my bad. But, yeah, St. Louis, kind of in the same spot if they've been in last year. The only things that were major, they gave away Sammy Blais for Pavel Buchnevich, which is an upgrade. Other than that, they really haven't done much this offseason that I can think of. But they lost Vince Dunn to Seattle. But, yeah, that's pretty much it. And number 4th, Dallas. Tyler Seguin will be back. He can be a big reason this team comes back to the playoffs. As well as they still have John Klingberg, Miro Heiskanen, Jamie Benn, Alex Radulov has this might be his last year as a solid forward. He is getting older. They have Anton Hudobin in net. They have Braden Holtby in net. They have Jamie Ottinger in net. And Ben Bishop is probably not going to start the season. His career might be done. Their big question is goaltending. Why they would go out and get Braden Holtby when they have Ottinger, who showed he was capable of being a starter last year, I don't know. Dallas made some questionable moves in the offseason regarding their goaltending. So we'll see how that pans out, but I think this team's offense and defense is good enough for them to make the playoffs and to get in that first wild card spot. But yeah, we'll see how that happens. And then, number 3, Chicago. This is Chicago's year to bounce back. I fully believe in this team that they will make the playoffs, and if they don't, my expectations are flattened, and I don't know what to say. But Marc-Andre Fleury, just won a Vezina. Can he put together another stellar performance season? Seth Jones, can he be a Norris caliber defenseman with that 9.5 for 8 years contract? We shall see. If he doesn't play up to that contract, there will be questions immediately. They lose Duncan Keith's contract, who is older, so Seth Jones, Duncan Keith, I would say Seth Jones is an upgrade. You have Caleb Jones for defensive depth. You got younger guys coming in. Hagel will be better. They got Beaudin on defense. They got the young guys. They got Kalnick, a young guy. They still have DeHaan and Murphy, and they got McCabe from Buffalo. So they got McCabe and Murphy, 2 of the best defensive defensemen in the league. You also got several pieces up front now. Tyler Johnson was acquired from Tampa. You have this team should be good enough to make the playoffs and make it into one of those top 3 spots in the division. What's really good, the only things I can see derailing this right now, Kaprizov signing in Minnesota, or something, a horrible injury happening to someone in the Hawks organization. Like, let's say Kane. Let's say he goes down. That's the only way I can see this team not making the playoffs at this point. Also, they have DeBrincat will be playing a full season with Kane. We'll see if he can score 40 goals again. And if he gets 40 quick, maybe he'll score 50. Maybe if he could score 50, that'd be phenomenal. And Doc will be this should be Doc's breakout year if Doc can be that number 1 center that I think he's going to be. And with Taves coming back as a number 2 center, this team could be one of the best in the league and be either really even better than I predicted them, or it can be even worse than I can even imagine. But we shall see. Number 2, the Winnipeg Jets proved me wrong last year that they would make the playoffs. I did not have them making the playoffs last year, and they did. So they did, and then they swept Edmonton, and then they proceeded to get swept by Montreal. So that was an interesting series of events. But if Dubois can have a good season, that could be a big part of Winnipeg's success. They have Ehlers, Connor, Scheifele, Wheeler on the offense. Those already 4 big names. If Dubois can be the point scorer he was in Columbus, that can be another big name. On defense, they got Morrissey still. They got Nate Schmidt from Vancouver. They have other pieces that is kind of why they did not really have a good defense last year. They were, I remember, one of the worst defenses in the league. So hopefully, acquiring Nate Schmidt, I say hopefully. I don't want them. I want the Hawks to finish as high as possible. But Nate Schmidt should be a good pickup for them. He didn't have a good go in Vancouver, but we'll see how he does in Winnipeg. And I think this team is a dangerous team, and there's only one other team that could stop them, and that would be the Colorado Avalanche, who I have winning the Western Conference for the 2nd year in a row. as I have Vegas finishing second for the second year in a row. And you got these teams making the playoffs. And to tell you the truth, I'm Colorado. I think they'll be worse this year. They got rid of Grubauer. And some may argue that Grubauer, who is now in Seattle, got hiccups. That Grubauer, who is now in Seattle, was only this good because he played in Colorado, which was a very good team last year. And with Kemper coming in now, who is more injury prone than Grubauer for sure, can Darcy Kemper be the goalie he was in 2020 and just have a Vezina winning performance in this season? And they have, to back up, they have Francois, so that can be a good backup. They've lost Brandon Saad to St. Louis. Oh, that's right, St. Louis also acquired Brandon Saad, so that could help out on the goal scoring as well. But they lose Brandon Saad to free agency to St. Louis. And they still have McKinnon, Landeskog, Rantanen, their big three. Cale Makar, a Norris finalist in his second year on defense, Calder winner. He's going to be a superstar defenseman in the league, and we can see how this could be a fully breakout year, even better than the one he had last year. If he can put together a Norris winning season, we'll see what will happen. But yeah, tell me what you think down below in the comments. These are my predictions. Tell me your predictions down below. Who do you think is going to win the Central? Who do you think is going to be last in the Central besides Arizona? Who do you think will be your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, 8 seeds in the Central Division? Tell me if you have any doubts about my list. Tell me if you think my list is completely garbage. Yeah, that's all I really have for you guys today, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.